The House will come to order. The pledge will be led by Chloe O'Neill, Kira Lyons, Elena Lyons from Bill Roberts Elementary, Denver, Colorado.
Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Kohler, please call the roll.
Representatives Arndt. Becker J. Becker K. Brown. Buck. Buckner. Carver. Conti. Coram. Court. Danielson. Del Grosso excused. Dorr. Duran. Esgar. Everett. Fields. Foote. Garnett. Janal. Hamner. Humphrey. Joshi. Kagan. Representative Kagan. Is he on a pro?
Representative Kagan excused.
Kaiser. Klingenschmidt. Kraft-Tharp. Landgraf. Lawrence. Lebsock. Lee. Representative Lee.
Representative Lee excused.
Lontine. Lundeen. Representative Lee is present. McCann. Melton. Mitch Bush. Representative Mitch Bush. Moreno. Navarro. Representative Navarro. Neville. Nordberg. Pabon. Pedersen. Primavera. Priola. Rankin. Ransom. Rosenthal. Rupe. Ryden. Sane. Salazar. Sias. Singer. Tate. Thurlow. Tyler. Van Winkle. Vigil. Willett. Williams. Representative Williams. There she is. Wilson. Windholz. Winter. Representative Winter. Young. Madam Speaker.
Here. With 63 present, 2 excused, a quorum is present. Representative Neville.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the reading of the Journal of Thursday, March 19th be dispensed with and that it be approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk.
You have heard the motion that the journal be adopted as corrected by the Chief Clerk. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Clearly, the ayes have it. Motion passes. Announcements and introductions. Representative Joshi.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Representative Joshi,
Madam
would you
Speaker.
give me just a brief moment
Sure.
here? Members, I'm going to start off being polite about asking for order, but let's try to keep it through announcements and introductions if we can, so I don't have to gavel you so many times. So please take your side conversations outside and pay attention to those speaking at the podium. Please proceed, Representative Joshi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Colleagues, I would like you to welcome a dignitary here, Mr. Parvathaneni Harish. He assumed the charge as the Consul General of India, Houston, in July 2012. Since joining the Indian Foreign Service in 1990, he has learned Arabic at the American University of Cairo and passed the exam with distinction. He has served in Indian missions in Cairo and Riyadh, and he headed the post as Indian representative to the Palestinian Authority stationed in Gaza. He was seconded to the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees in the Near East as the chief of the Policy Analysis Unit at UNRWA headquarters in Gaza. He thereafter worked in the East Asia and External Publicity Division in the Ministry of External Affairs. For a period of 5 years since 2007, Mr. Harish was the Joint Secretary and Officer on Special Duty to the Honorable Vice President of India and Chairman of Council of States of the Indian Parliament, Mr. Hamid Ansari. Mr. Parvanathan Harish is a mechanical engineering graduate from Osmania University College of Engineering, Hyderabad. He is married to Mrs. Nandita and has 2 daughters. Colleagues, please welcome Mr. Harish.
Representative Joshi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And for him taking special time, since Colorado is now under the consulate in Houston, and that's why he's visiting Denver today to meet with the Indian community and see if they have any issues, etc. So since he has made a special attempt to come and see us here on in the House, I would like to present him with one of our little medal with our logo of the House of Representatives too. Thank you.
Representative Court.
Okay, don't shoot the messenger. I know the new fobs don't work on the North Gate. It's all John Wallen's fault. John, raise your hand. You can all be mad at John. Here's what happened. They got the South Gate working, but for some techno-speak reason, they couldn't get the North Gate working in time. But it will be ready by 7:30 on Monday. The North Gate will be working too. So if it doesn't work on Monday, we will be sure sergeants are there to let you in anyway. The South Gate's working fine. I got in just fine this morning. It's the North Gate we're having trouble with. So it's all John's fault, but one of the sergeants will be there at 7:30 to be sure if it isn't working on the North Gate. Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Representative Van Winkle.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have a tribute today, ladies and gentlemen, for Joseph Wesley Hatcher. He goes by Wesley. Wesley Hatcher of Highlands Ranch Troop 873 has attained the prestigious rank of Eagle Scout in the Boy Scouts of America. Wesley, thank you for standing. Mr. Hatcher has demonstrated a high level of integrity, both depth of character and dedication to excellence in meeting the standards of this highly sought-after award. He exemplifies the true spirit of the Boy Scouts of America, and the members of the Colorado House of Representatives are proud to recognize and congratulate him for this achievement. Congratulations, Wesley.
Congratulations. Representative Salazar.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. March powwow. That's the last time I'm going to announce it because grand entry is today at noon. It lasts today, tomorrow, and Sunday. A number of wonderful legislators have approached me, Democrats and Republicans alike, wanting to know when I'm going to be there. That way we could all pal around. I'm going to be there on Sunday, probably around 1 o'clock, which is the time when the competitions start to narrow down with the drum groups as well as the dancers. Love to see you guys there. And yeah, so go March Powwow. It's at the Denver Coliseum. Yeah, and it's lasting all weekend. Thank you.
Representative Mitch Bush.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Happy spring. What spring means up in the mountains, at least for a lot of folks, is slush bumps, corn, and deck time. So if you have some time this weekend, head on up to your favorite ski area. You could go to Vail like nowhere on earth. Or you could go to Beaver Creek with the Birds of Prey downhill and the Raptor downhill course. Or you could go to Steamboat with the best tree skiing in the world and great slush bumps in a real town. So enjoy spring. It's great skiing.
Representative Ryden.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and members of the State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee. And I brought my wrong. Here we go. Excuse me. And anyone who is interested in minimum wage bills. We have 2 new bills that aren't on the calendar today, but will be on Monday. And those are House Bill 1300 and House Concurrent Resolution 1001. And they are both having to do with the minimum wage, and we will be hearing those on Monday. So for you and the listening audience, we will have those 2 new bills on Monday in State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee. Thank you.
Representative Priola. Oh, Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Representative Mitch Bush, when you were prospecting through all those different ores, you forgot or you could ski Monarch. Less money, more fun. Just thought I'd point that out.
Representative Priola.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And a public safety announcement for those who are going to Beaver Creek, watch out for the last lip on Centennial Run. It's a doozy. If I could invite all fellow CU alum and CU supporters down here to the well, we need to sing a little CU fight song today. Today is University of Colorado Day at the Capitol.
So I thank you, Representative Priola, and I may need to call on the Speaker Pro Tem so that I can go down in the well, except I think he's a CU alum as well. I'm not sure he heard your announcement. Mr. Speaker Pro Tem.
Come on.
For the purposes of singing the CU fight song, I appoint Representative Quorum to take the chair for the fight song only. You can stand on that.
Someone's got to watch this.
Oh, yeah.
Just in case. Everybody ready? Yeah. Fight, see you down the field. See you must win. Fight, fight for victory. See you knows no defeat. So roll up that mighty score. Never give in. Shoulder to shoulder we will fight, 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 fight.
Thank you, members. I think it's very obvious that we need to put more money into the CU musical program.
Thank you very much for your assistance, Representative Quorum. And it's obvious that none of the alums from CU went to music school. So, Representative Hamner.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On that note, could I please get the Capitol Choir down here? Because guess what? We have 2 representatives with birthdays this weekend. We have Representative Melton tomorrow, and we have Representative Rupe on Sunday. So, Capitol Choir, if you would please come on. Oh, and Representative Rupe, you can sing to yourself. I learned that this week. So let's show the CU folks, Capitol Choir, how it's done. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Representative Melton and Rupe.
Happy birthday to you.
Are there further announcements and introductions? Seeing none, the next order of business is general orders, second reading of bills. Representative Primavera. You have heard the motion. If there are no objections, Representative Primavera will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. With your unanimous consent, the bills will be read by title unless there is a request for reading a bill at length. Committee amendments will not be read unless requested, as they are printed and in your bill folders. Floor amendments will be shown on the screen and on your iPads and not read unless requested. Bills will be laid over upon the motion of the Majority Leader. The Coat rule is relaxed. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over House Bill 1097 until Monday, March 23rd.
Motion to lay over House Bill 1097 has been moved. Is there any objection? Seeing none, 1097 will be laid over. Okay, Mr. Kohler, please read the title to House Bill 1147.
House Bill 1147, Representative Janal, also Senator Todd, concerning the regulation of genetic counselors.
Representative Janal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1147 and the Health Insurance and Environment Report, as well as the Appropriations Report.
Thank you, Representative Janal. To the Appropriations Committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Appropriations Committee added a provision of $58,000 to the Department of Regulatory Agencies for 2015-2016 from the Division of Professions and Occupations Cash Fund for a half of an FTE. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any discussion on the Appropriations Committee report? Seeing none, is there any objection to the Appropriations Committee report? Oh, all those in favor of the Appropriations Committee report, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The Appropriations Committee report is adopted. Representative Janal.
To the
Health Insurance and Environment Committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Health Insurance and Environment Committee report, L002, was a drafting technical error. It simply had a misprint for a particular statute number, and so that had to be changed. It passed out of the Health Insurance and Environment Committee with an 8-3 vote. I ask for an aye vote on the Health Insurance and Environment Committee report.
Thank you, Representative Janal. Is there any further discussion on the Health Insurance and Environment Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Health Insurance and Environment Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The Health Insurance and Environment Committee report passes. Representative Janal.
To the bill. Madam Chair? Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 151147 defines who can represent themselves as genetic counselors. They are master degree trained healthcare professionals. It allows Coloradans to easily identify the right practitioners to ensure that they get the right genetic tests and the right genetic tests are selected, that the test results are accurately understood and interpreted, and that the genetic counselors are providing patients the education, the resources, as well as the emotional support that they need to make informed decisions due to genetic factors. Genetic medicine is impacting all areas of medicine, and it is affecting the course of a person's life from infancy to adulthood. Clinical guidelines now suggest incorporating genomic testing and therapeutics into medical care, and it will continue to have a real impact on our lives to help diagnose, to help prevent, and treat many human diseases that are caused by single gene disorders. Members, this is the way medicine is going. We need professional genetic counselors who are trained appropriately, who are up to date with the latest tests and how to interpret those results, and with the highest educational requirements, continuing educational requirements. In this ever-changing field, genetic counselors are a vital part of the healthcare team to help both physicians as well as patients. Genetic counselors clearly understand the results of many complicated tests for genetic conditions and chromosomal abnormalities. Colorado should protect the public and support genetic counselors. Their demand is growing. It will bring more jobs, and it will help prevent harm to the public. I ask for an aye vote for House Bill 1147.
Thank you, Representative Janal. Representative Brown.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And members, we did hear this bill in the Health, Insurance, and Environment Committee. And there was a lot of testimony in favor of this bill. But the striking thing to me was that DORA, the folks that regulate for Colorado, came in and testified that this bill was not needed, that genetic counselors could be self-regulated, and that we did not need more government in this area. That was striking to me, and I think it's something that we all need to think about. So I would urge a no vote on this bill.
Thank you, Representative Brown. Representative Joshi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And colleagues, one of the reason I'm against this bill, and I also urge no vote, is what Representative Brown just mentioned, that the DORA came and they didn't want to regulate this industry. But there is another more important scientific technical reason for this. 2 days after we heard this bill, FDA came out. If you recall, there is a company called 23andMe. This company actually does direct-to-consumer genetic testing. It runs around $100. All you have to do is you take your saliva sample and you send to this company, and they do several tests on your saliva, and then they tell you if you have any of the abnormal chromosomes or you are going to be predisposed to some of the genetic conditions and all that. FDA had shut them down a couple of months ago. But then after reviewing on 21st of February, FDA came out and they announced that a new genetic test could have broad implication for other yet unapproved genetic testing, and issuing the ruling, the FDA said it is considering deregulating a broad class of genetic screening tests. Such tests will no longer require pre-market review, as FDA explained. So, as you can see, FDA is trying to deregulate this particular industry, and at the same time, we are trying to regulate them. FDA has actually created a new class so that they can be evaluated under that particular class so that they can deregulate. So when FDA is trying to deregulate, why are we trying to regulate? So I ask a no vote on this bill.
Thank you, Representative Joshi. Representative Tate.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise with strong ambivalence about the bill. You know, I think to some degree we're going to hear, I mean, it's easy to look at this through the lens of a critique that only government can keep us safe, or a concern that it increases the size of government, or in fact a critique of DORA, and I'm not exactly sure you know, whether or not government wants to regulate something is germane to whether or not something should be regulated. You know, I have an engineering background, and I passed the first stage of an engineering licensing, but I was not good enough with numbers to get past that. But I do notice that engineers are licensed. For electrical systems, mechanical systems, civil engineering, anything that's complicated that requires scrutiny and design, there's a licensing function for that. My wife's a physician. She has a license, and I know, I think generally speaking, we like to have licensed medical professionals, whether it's someone performing a surgery or reading an MRI. And lawyers are also licensed, although I might be sympathetic to addressing that issue. But you know, certainly lawyers are highly educated and they pass the bar exam. So the underlying theme is that professional services are complicated, and they're complicated to a degree that from a consumer perspective, it's hard to know before the service is provided what the quality of the service will be. And that's really a conundrum for all marketing of services. But where there's a safety and life, or a life safety function involved, it's critical to have some degree of licensing. So the question in my mind is, genetic counseling rise to this level? And I don't know. I do know that, you know, a lot of pretty significant life decisions can be made based on a genetic test. A friend of mine back in Nashville, she had a double mastectomy based on genetic predisposition to breast cancer. You know, what if the testing she had used, the interpretation of the testing was wrong and she made a wrong decision? So I just think we need to really look at the profession itself to make that type of decision. My overall concerns beyond that are really related to the institutionalization of this profession vis-a-vis the healthcare system and the healthcare providers that we know and love. Genetic testing is marketed significantly in physicians' offices for all kinds of reasons. I'm not exactly sure that physicians are adequately trained and educated in this area, nor do I think it's best for them to be involved in this practice area. So, for example, you know, a lab can come to an OBGYN provider and market a test, and they claim to the physician that the test is preventive and covered 100% by insurance. And the labs charge up to $4,000 for the test and tell the doctors that they'll only collect a maximum of $400 from the patient if their insurance doesn't pay. There's a little winky there. In contrast, one can note that, you know, a doctor receives only $84 for a well visit exam, or only $1,100 for 10.5 months of care for a woman who's pregnant and delivers and needs follow-up. So it's interesting that these financial irregularities exist, and it makes me wonder what's going on in the industry overall, and makes me really anxious to get genetics counseling and the marketing of genetic testing out of physicians' offices. In addition, there's implied liability issues. What if a doctor does not believe in genetics testing or does not offer genetics testing? What does that mean for the doctor in terms of perceived liability? One reason why I'm suspecting, and I would love confirmation or further thoughts from the proponents of the bill, is that absent this professional designation, a lot of counseling occurs in medical practices and at healthcare facilities where licensing exists, where COPIC and other medical malpractice insurance exists. And so there is this commingling of functions. In some ways, I believe that the individual patient relationship to the genetic counselor and the genetic testing function should be almost separate from the relationship between the doctor and the patient, with some rare exceptions. And I do hope, if this bill passes, I do hope the bill addresses that. As a quick note, I did forward my concerns to physicians at the Colorado Medical Society, because my initial thought was that the professionalization of this practice would actually have the opposite effect, would bring more doctors into this potential, ethical quagmire, if you will, and this issue of moral hazard that insurance companies have possibly to promote genetics testing. But the opinion of the Colorado Medical Society and the physicians there, and now that I think about it, I'm starting to concur with that, is that licensing and further professionalization, further institutional of this practice area would help remove it from physicians' offices, and as a result, genetics counselors would be formalizing their own practices. Thank you for your time and consideration. I look forward to additional discussion from fellow members. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Tate. Representative Humphrey.
Thank you. And Okay, that was a lot of input from Representative Tate. That might require a separate bill to address some of those things. I don't know, but I just want to reiterate. In committee, Dora opposed the bill, which was quite shocking. I had to do a double take on that one. He said it was not necessary to protect the public. The public, they adequately self-regulate, these genetic counselors, and they said they did an objective review. Not necessary. Don't support the bill. So I urge a no vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Humphrey. Representative Priola, are you? No. Representative Tyler? Representative Janal?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just want to clarify a couple of things because I think there was some concern about Dora. And Dora did was asked to look at this a couple of years ago. And I have to say, this is genetic medicine now. And since the human genome has been completely mapped, there have been literally 2,600 different disease states that we are doing research on right now that deal with cardiology, that deal with immunology, that deal with neurology, from infancy to adulthood, and how this could help people in disease states. So this is a quickly moving science, genetics, and even 2 years ago, the tests that are present today weren't even available then, and how to interpret those results. So what a licensure is going to do is to make sure that no harm is done with genetic testing. It's been backed by a number of organizations, Children's Hospital, the Colorado Academy of Family Physicians, the Colorado Hospital Association, the Colorado Medical Society, on and on and on. And I believe that this is something that the genetic counselors asked for. It isn't something that, we're asking them to do. They want this. It's a growing profession with daily new genetic discoveries. The licensure is going to assist hospitals and other employees to hire the credentialed genetic counselors. They need educated and qualified professionals to perform, assess, and explain the results to consumers who are making these critical healthcare decisions. There's 19 other states that have adopted licensure to protect the public from harm. So I ask for a yes vote on House Bill 1147.
Thank you, Representative Janal. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1147. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. No. House Bill 1147 passes. Mr. Kohler, please read the title to House Bill 1215.
House Bill 1215 by Representative Priola, also Senator Johnston, concerning in-state tuition classification for dependents of active duty military members who have attended school in Colorado.
Thank you, Mr. Kohler. Representative Priola.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I move House Bill 1215. There is no committee report.
Thank you, Representative Priola. To the bill.
Thank you, members. I move L001 and ask that it be displayed.
Thank you, Representative Priola. Amendment L001 has been moved and shown on the screen. It is a multi-page amendment, and it should be on your desks. To the amendment, Representative Priola.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, this amendment basically strikes Section 2, which we found out in committee conflicted with earlier parts of statute. It lines 7 through 17 strike another part of statute that conflicts with a part of statute that was put in 2 years ago. And then lines 18 through the rest of the amendment are the part of statute that's germane. My idea in the bill simply changes line 35 from 22 to 23 and line 2 on the back page from 10 to 12. I ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Representative Priola. Is there any further discussion on the amendment? Representative Moreno.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I rise in support of Amendment L001. When we heard this bill in committee, we realized that Representative Priola's idea is also governed in another part of the statute. And so this amendment simply harmonizes those statutes and makes it compatible with a bill that Representative Everett ran a couple years back. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L001, Representative Everett? No? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L001. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Amendment L001 is adopted. Representative Priola to the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I think the bill was aptly described by Representative Moreno. It simply builds on work from Representative Everett a few years ago and ensures that any child that attended first grade in the state of Colorado will still be given in-state tuition, as well as any person that is 22 years and younger will be allowed in-state tuition in the state of Colorado. We need to keep talented individuals who grew up in the state here in Colorado. Ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Representative Priola. Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1215? Representative Everett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The problem with this bill, and I know this is probably going to pass fairly significantly here in this chamber, is that in statute, there's different areas of statute that cover the same thing. We have a lot of overlap. So, I don't want to blame drafters or anything. What ends up happening is that we put something in statute in one area, conflicts with another statute in another area. What we really need to do is we need to run an omnibus bill to kind of really clean up the statute and put everything regarding special exceptions for in-state tuition and do a fix-it bill. And I do look forward to working with Representative Priola maybe next year and over the summer, because it's actually a pretty broad on what's in there. And Representative Priola, I look forward to working with you maybe over the summer and crafting a bill to bring everything underneath one umbrella.
Representative Priola.
Madam Chair, thank you, Representative Everett. I agree. I think this bill helped us realize just how many areas of conflict are in this area of statute. Looking forward to it.
Thank you. Representative Melton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I rise in support of House Bill 1215. I love the idea of granting the in-state tuition, especially because there are some people here in this room that might be qualified to get in-state tuition here in the state of Colorado, and that would be the Overland High School men's basketball team, which are the state 5A champions in basketball this year for the state of Colorado. And I bet you didn't know this, but the state of Colorado and the House of Representatives convened in the 70th General Assembly hereby extend sincere accommodations to Overland High School's men's basketball team. 5A champions, the Overland High School men's basketball team did a great job. And so we want to be sure and thank them as they're here in the chamber.
Congratulations to the Overland High School basketball team on your success, but unfortunately, Representative Melton will be fined $3. Representative Buckner. I hope this is to House Bill 1215.
It is a House bill, but it's kind of, when I describe myself as a high school principal, this is the high school. These are the kids from Overland High School, where I was principal for 17 years, who just won the first basketball state championship in the school's history. I'm so proud. It's unbelievable. Go Blazers.
Thank you, Representative Buckner. And although you were the principal of Overland High School, you'll be fined $2. Representative Fields. Representative Fields.
Thank you,
I hope
Madam
this is to
Chair.
House Bill 1215.
And it is with great honor that I recognize the impressive accomplishment of the young men of the basketball team of Overland High School. I just want you to know that your school district is proud of you, your community is proud of you, and the state of Colorado is proud of your accomplishments. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Representative Fields, and you will also be fined $2. Representative Ryden.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and members of the Overland High School basketball team. I am speaking to House Bill 1215. And I wonder if any of you are military kids. Were you in the past? All right. So now you know that even if your parents move out of state, you can still get in-state tuition at a school in Colorado when they choose to offer that. So keep your eyes open for that. It could be a very big deal for you, and thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thank you, Representative Rydin. That's only a $1 fine. Representative Melton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just wanted to also mention that the gym that you guys play in is named after that gentleman right here, Representative John Buckner.
Representative Rydin, I hope this is to House Bill 1215 because this is all against the rules.
And thank you, Madam Chair. And I move an amendment to House Bill 1215 that all of the fines raised today go to the Overland High School Scholarship Fund.
That amendment is out of order, Representative Rydin. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That is out of order, Representative Rydin. I think it's time to get back to this bill. Congratulations.
Thank you, everyone, for being out of order. And congratulations again to Overland High School. I hope you have kept the rules better than our members here. Representative Priola.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Concerning House Bill 1215, I ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion that really does pertain to House Bill 1215? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1215 as amended. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? No. House Bill 1215 passes. Mr. Kohler, please read the title to House Bill 1239.
House Bill 1239 by Representatives McCann and Lontine, all center statement concerning exception of the prohibition against paying post-employment compensation for the Denver Health and Hospital Authority.
Representative McCann to House Bill 1239.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1239, yeah, that's what I do.
Representative Lontine or McCann, please proceed.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill is a pretty simple bill. It will allow the Denver Health and Hospitals to recruit more effectively by allowing them to offer post-employment compensation. So I ask for an aye vote.
Representative Lontine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was honored to be Representative McCann's co-sponsor and to support our safety net hospital, Denver Health, which the legislature has authority over. And this is a great bill, and I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1239? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1239. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. House Bill 1239 is adopted. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1259.
House Bill 1259 by Representatives Esgar and Danielson, all Senator Merrifield, concerning the use of rain barrels to collect precipitation from residential rooftop for non-potable outdoor uses.
Thank you. Representative Esgar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1259.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Thank you. House Bill 1259, known as the Rain Barrel Bill, is a simple bill when we talk about teaching people how to conserve water that falls off of their roof and goes directly back into the earth, into their gardens or their lawn. I would ask for an aye vote on this.
Representative Danielson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I bring this bill with Representative Esgar, partially as a conservation measure for those of us who represent urban and suburban districts. This puts the water user in a mind frame of conservation. If you understand how little water 50 gallons really is, maybe you'll think twice the next time you turn on that hose and watch it gush out onto that lawn. I like the bill. It's a good bill. Vote yes.
Is that Speaker Pro Tem or is that Representative Corum? Oh, Representative Corum.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You also look very good up there.
Thank you.
Members, I'm in opposition to this bill, and everything is not always as simple as it seems. Our prior appropriations doctrine, about 150 years old, says that the water that falls from the sky belongs to the people of Colorado. It does not belong to the person who owns the land, who owns the house, the barn. So in order to use that water, according to the prior appropriations doctrine, you must apply for a beneficial use. You never own the water. You only have the right to use that water. So this seems a bit innocuous, but think of the long term. You're saying, okay, I want to use the water that only falls on the roof of my house. That's fine, but it's not your water. It belongs to the people of Colorado and the people who have the right to use that water. So what you're doing is you're saying, I'm going to use something that belongs to someone else. I'm going to go to the store. I say, I want that. It's mine. I'm going to take it. Is that reasonable? No. And that's exactly what we're doing in this bill. You know, we have a bill that involves rainwater collection, but it's a pilot because we're not wanting to change and turn upside down the prior appropriations doctrine. And members, that is what we're doing with this bill. We're doing a taking of someone else's property. It's only a small taking.
Representative Klingenschmidt, did you want to go next? Oh, are you finished, Representative Corum?
No. I looked over and I saw this. I like it. It happens to belong to Representative Lawrence, but I like it. I think I need it. So I'm going to take it. And that's what we're doing with this bill. It is a taking. We heard from Justice Hobbs. This is a violation of the prior appropriations doctrine. We heard this in Ag Committee last week. You cannot take a water right simply because you want it.
Thank you, Representative Corum. Representative Klingenschmidt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise in opposition to this bill, and I have a little personal history that may explain the difference between the laws that are east of the Mississippi River and the laws that are west of the Mississippi River. Some of you may know that I grew up as a child on a farm in Buffalo, New York. And my grandfather, Elton Klingenschmidt, did more farming when he was 92 years old than he did in any of the previous years. He used to drive around on a 1947 Farmall tractor, and when he was out there irrigating the fields, he would take the rain barrel from the end of our house, and he would put it on the back of his tractor, and all the rain that fell on the roof would go into that rain barrel, 55-gallon drum, and he would put it on the back of his tractor and mix some Roundup spray and go and spray all of the vegetables so that the bugs wouldn't kill the vegetables. Very successful farmer. And so when I saw this bill, I thought, this is great. This is a rain barrel bill. I can vote for this. But then I studied the Colorado Constitution. And I realized because my grandfather lived in New York State under a riparian system of water distribution, that's okay in New York. You can collect your own rain barrels in New York. But in Colorado, it's actually unconstitutional. And here's why. Because the western states, west of the Mississippi, are under a prior appropriations doctrine, specifically Colorado, in our state constitution, that rain, even if it falls on your roof, does not belong to you, it belongs to the people of Colorado. And therefore, the people downstream from that water, because we're under a prior appropriation system in the state of Colorado, the people downstream actually have prior appropriation ownership of that water, even though it fell on your roof. And so we cannot assume that just because it came onto my property, suddenly it belongs to me. No. If we divert that water, if we have rain barrels on every suburban neighborhood, and I've had people in my district in a suburban neighborhood in Colorado Springs ask, why can't I keep this water? It fell on my roof. And the answer is, the Colorado Constitution says it is not yours. And because it belongs to somebody downstream and it does not belong to you, then we cannot constitutionally pass this bad law that would controvert the property rights of people downstream. And for those reasons, I urge a no vote on this bill.
Thank you, Representative Klingenschmidt. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move L003 and ask that it be displayed.
Amendment L003 has been moved by Madam Majority Leader, and it is being displayed on the screen. It has been properly displayed to the amendment, Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And what this amendment does is it changes on page 3, line 4, changes that no more than 2 rain barrels with a combined storage capacity of 100 gallons be changed to 110 gallons. And the reason why I am bringing forward this bill is you guys may have remembered that Representative Waller was here the other day, former leader of the Republican House Caucus, and he said that he supports this bill, but every time he goes to Home Depot, it's very difficult to find buckets that are 50 gallons, and so he thought instead it would be great if we can up it a little bit so that he can purchase the usual type of bucket that is sold at Home Depot, which is 55 gallons. So in a bipartisan spirit, I looked into this issue a little bit more, and he's right. You know, you go to your local Home Depot, and most of the buckets are 55-gallon buckets. So really want to thank Representative Waller for bringing forward this additional information to us and for his support of this legislation as a former leader of the Republican House Caucus. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L003? Representative Danielson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Madam Majority Leader, for bringing the amendment. Just a quick reminder, members, that you can currently go down to Home Depot or Lowe's and get one of these barrels. Most folks don't know that it's illegal, and they like the idea of being able to store the water for a little bit. It still goes into the same ground that it would if it came off their gutter straight to the ground. This is just a way for them to think through their water usage, think through where the water comes from, be careful about their water usage, and kind of put themselves in a frame of conservation. And changing it to 110 gallons just means that it accommodates the consumer who's already shopping for these barrels.
Representative Esgar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We do support this amendment. The way we came up with the original number is if you Google rain barrels right now, and if you look in Colorado stores where they are sold already, they range between 30 gallons and 75 gallons. So we just picked kind of the middle and went with 50-gallon buckets. But if there's more 55-gallon buckets, which it sounds like from the research of former Representative Waller and Majority Leader Duran, then we're fine with this amendment.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L003? Representative Everett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Representative Duran, I have a question. You know, my understanding is you went to CU Law School. Is that correct? So I went to DU Law School, and I was wondering if you'd help me with the legal definition of what the difference between a barrel and a bucket is. I don't know. They didn't teach us that at DU.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L003? Representative Corum.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question on the bill because when we're talking barrels, if we're talking rain barrels, we're talking.
Is this to the amendment, Representative Corum?
We're talking a plastic barrel, which is made for the collection. If you go to 55-gallon, you're talking a oil barrel. So are we suggesting that we use oil barrels, recycle those, and contaminate our water?
Representative Esgar.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Actually, Representative Corum, if you look at the bill, page 2, line 8, it defines exactly what a rain barrel is: a storage container with a sealable lid. We prefer that they are brand new. We would ask that you do not reuse your oil containers, and the majority of people who are into conserving this water on their properties probably don't have their oil barrel ready to reuse.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L003? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of L003. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no? No. L003 is adopted. to the bill. Representative Salazar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I took up Representative Esgar's challenge to Google barrels, rain barrels. And so what comes up as the Denver Broncos barrel man. Can we put all the rain in these kinds of barrels? That's what I want to know. Is that acceptable? It looks like it's about 55 gallons. I don't know. By the looks of the man, it could be about 70.
Representative Danielson, I hope this is about House Bill 1259 and not the barrel man. Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1259? Representative Brown.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You think that, well, two 50-gallon barrels or two 55-gallon barrels, that doesn't sound like a lot of water. But if you do 1 million of those in an area, you start using some water that belongs to property rights owners downstream. Now, I was thinking about, I thought, well, maybe I could vote for this bill, but after listening to Justice Hobbs and after listening to those water rights owners, irrigators, down the South Platte in committee the other day, I decided I can't vote for this, and I would ask that you vote no on this bill.
Thank you, Representative Brown. Representative Dorr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I don't want to repeat what has been said here, but I want to make sure we put the real and right perspective on what we're dealing with here. And while I think there's especially those that live in the urban area, a logical question that comes to mind is, why can't I just collect the rainwater that comes off my roof? It's my water. And the answer is because, no, it's not your water. And I know that doesn't sometimes make sense, but here in the West, water belongs to the system. It doesn't belong to you. You may have a water right, of which many, many ranchers and farmers and families do downstream between Denver, Nebraska, Denver, Kansas, but the right doesn't exist to grab that water off your roof and use it for your beneficial use, even if you think it'll go back in stream. And so we start off at a point where you just can't do it because it would require a major overhaul in the laws and agreement adjustments downstream, potentially, because you could have a lot of barrels of water collected from the sky off your roof. And then how are they being used? How long are they sitting in the barrel? What's happening with that water? Does it get back into the flow so that it can serve those who have a water right downstream? The other question I had in committee, in which we talked about, is while there is a study ongoing, that study doesn't tell us a lot. It doesn't tell us enough yet to what the effect will be for the in-stream use downriver to those who are on the ranchers and farms between Denver, Nebraska, Denver, Kansas, and Denver and other parts in the East and West. And so with those questions in mind, I think it's premature for us to pass a law that says we're just going to let you start collecting this water. And then we'll figure out afterwards if it's affecting your in-stream flow uses or not. And that is a problem. I don't want to go forward and do that, and respectfully would ask for a no vote.
Representative Tate. Representative Danielson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Representative Tate. Just one really quick thing to bring to your attention. Of all of the states in the entire nation, Colorado is the only state that continues to ban the usage of water-saving rain barrels. Thank you.
Representative Jay Becker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And there's a reason the state of Colorado continues to ban rain barrels. It's because we're over-appropriated in a lot of areas. That's why we ban rain barrels. This water is somebody else's water that we're dealing with, and we think that it's just a small amount when it turns out that it could become a large amount, and we don't understand how this affects all the flows downstream and those people's water right that you are taking. And this is a takings. We've sat up here and said it time and time again. This is a taking from the downstream right, which is a senior right to anybody upstream
that has that water. It's somebody else's right. The other problem with this bill, if we say, yes, you can go ahead and do it, this bill doesn't allow for objectors to say anything. It just says you can collect this water. What about the objectors if they are injured? There is no process for them to go through other than to try and go to court, and who do they take on at that point? So I would tell you, members, that there is a reason. The state of Colorado is one of the few states that generates water. We are over appropriated in a lot of places in the state of Colorado, and these are somebody else's water right. Even the person collecting the water would have a water right from their city or municipality that could be affected by this process. Also think that it could damage you every time you start thinking that you're saving water in a municipality. Water ends up going up because not many people are using water as well. So I'd ask you, think of downstream rights. Think that this is not a water right that you can take. Also think about the over-appropriation in the state of Colorado when you're voting on this bill. And I think when you take all those into consideration, you have to vote no.
Thank you, Representative Becker. Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Colleagues, to begin, I've got a question for you. How many of you in this room really understand water rights in the state of Colorado? One or two, three or four? Pretty limited. Well, let me give you this illustration. I read this bill, and it struck me, if I used the logic in this bill with the wildlife in Colorado. Let me put this in perspective for you. Because the wild game is on my property, that gives me the right to take it, according to the same logic, and use it. And if I do it with these 4 points in mind, 1, I only take a maximum of 2 animals. 2, I only take it at a single resident. I'm still okay at my house. 3, the meat will only be used on the property on which it's taken, so I'm still okay. And 4, the meat is used for outdoor Reed barbecue purposes. I qualify. You would not allow me to take those animals because they belong to the state of Colorado. The water belongs to the people of the state of Colorado. And if I only take a little of it and return it to land, I'm still breaking the law. Collecting water in a tributary basin is against the law in Colorado, the same way taking of animals. The logic doesn't make sense. It's the same logic. It's the same logic. Vote no. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Wilson. Representative Tate.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, members. I was thinking about having 2 55-gallon rain barrels, and that would be 110 gallons of capacity. And I think if I'm lucky in a month, I might be able to save 1,000 gallons, maybe during a warm month. And that's about $10 to $15 of savings. So just want to throw that out there in terms of context. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Tate. Is there any further discussion on? Yes, there is. Representative Corum.
Members, let's talk about that $10 to $15 that we just heard. We also heard that an acre-foot of water is worth about $25,000 in the north side of Denver here. So we also heard in committee, but we're not going to use a lot. We're only going to use 3,000 to 5,000 acre feet. So let's do the math. 5,000 acre feet at 25,000. $125 million. We're actually taking someone's value here. We're also taking it that we're just taking it. We don't have a right to use it. Simply because you want doesn't mean you can take. Now, you can use rainwater in Colorado. It is legal. Did you hear me? It is legal to use rainwater in Colorado. What you must be, in order to use rainwater, you must take it from a well that is non-tributary, which means non-tributary means it does not take water rights from someone else. You apply for the permit, you get it. I think your maximum storage in that situation is $5,000 or 5,000 acres gallons. So, but let's put this in perspective. Let's make sure that we don't harm someone else. So with that, I would move L004 and ask that it be displayed.
Thank you, Representative Corum. Amendment L004 has been moved by Representative Corum. It is displayed on the screen. Please explain Amendment L004.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, anytime you want to do anything with water in Colorado, you have to have approval to use it. So if you want to use that, fine. File an augmentation plan with the state engineer, and if the state engineer approves it, I have no objections.
Representative Kay Becker.
If we need an augmentation plan for this, then I think you also need an augmentation plan to shovel the snow from your sidewalk onto your land. There's no need for an augmentation plan, which requires a water court process, involvement of the state engineer's office, for 110 gallons of water, guys. Every state in the nation allows this except Colorado. I urge a no vote on this amendment.
Is there any further discussion on L004? Representative Arndt.
Thank you. I'd also like to say the augmentation plan is in place. You collect the rain in your barrel and you put it on your tomato plants, right back to where it was coming in the first place. That's the
Representative Becker. No. Oh, I'm sorry, Lundeen. It's Friday.
Very much, Madam Chairman. Yeah, my family had a small ranchette, and we were, in fact, choosing to disrupt the water rights that were associated with that little ranchette. And so we went through the process of establishing water augmentation because we honor the Constitution, we honor the law. It wasn't, that expensive. We spent, I think, $5,000 or $6,000 in attorney's fees and went through the adjudication process. But it was right and appropriate to honor the Constitution, to honor water law, and to honor the Western tradition of water rights that we have. Thank you. I support this amendment.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L004? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of L004. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. No. Amendment L004 fails. Back to the bill. Representative Danielson. Representative Sane.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Now, I just want to reference something one of my colleagues said. Representative Brown said that water belongs. Water belongs as property rights to owners downstream. And I asked him to clarify, who is that? Who are you speaking for? And he said, water rights holders everywhere. If that's the case, I'll illustrate. I know you're probably tired of hearing me talk about Gilchrist and LaSalle and spreading the Eaton, but when I asked that same question to objectors, I said, we can't pump without beneficial use to lower the groundwater table in Gilchrist because that's your water, right? And he said, yes. And I said, well, are you prepared to pay the liability for that? And he said, well, wait a minute, that's not fair to say it's our water. And if that's the case, colleagues, if it's not fair to say that's their water, well, that should be a statement for all time. Now, I have asked over and over again if there's any data whatsoever to prove that this rain barrel project will harm users downstream or property rights or senior rights owners downstream. I have not received that data yet. I think there's a good reason why that is. I would like to demonstrate for folks who say that they do understand water rights in Colorado, have read the Constitution. For those of you who say you read the Constitution before you got up on this podium today, I would like to point out something. That water rights doesn't mean that you get a certain amount of water. In fact, farmers will tell you that that's up and down sometimes, as far as if you get your full share. It's not like buying a cup of coffee and say, I bought a cup of coffee at 12 ounces for $1.50, and this is what I got. It was 12 ounces. Well, farmers will tell you that doesn't happen all that often. Sometimes they may get 80% of that cup of coffee. Sometimes they'll get 90%. It doesn't guarantee necessarily you're going to receive that full share. But I am proud of a system on the South Platte where we actually reuse water 7 times over. And so a water right basically gives you the right to use water at a certain time and certain place.
and a certain amount, of course, but in time and place. So, for example, if we use water 7 times over, here's an actual water right. I'm going to hand this to my colleague over here, and she's going to hand it to a couple over folks. That's your water right. Okay, so if we're going to use Representative Quorum's example, now maybe on the western slope you may only use it one time. I'm not real sure, but on the South Platte, I use that coffee mug, and then I pass it on to Representative Lawrence, and I pass it on to Representative Duran, and I pass it on to Representative Becker. That's our system, folks. So when I asked, again, can you prove to me that these rain barrels are going to hurt folks downstream? Because this is really about timing. This is about timing. So if these folks are required to put that water on their garden or on their lawn, it's going to go back to the river eventually. Now, the other thing that has not been brought up, I think this is rather interesting because we do live in a semi-arid desert, correct? And so the study in Douglas County is actually fairly accurate. When it does rain here, most of it evaporates. And so if you read the Constitution, I mean, one of our overarching arcs of water law is to put water to beneficial use and not waste it. So is evaporation waste? Is that putting it to beneficial use? Arguably, probably not, if most of it doesn't return to the river. And when you can fill up a rain barrel, it's usually raining pretty gosh darn hard, isn't it? I mean, it's still pretty tough to fill up a rain barrel in one shot. So essentially, that water rushes downstream and goes to Kansas and Nebraska, which we deliver over 1 million acre-feet above our compact every single year, which I consider waste. We do not get a thank you note from the state of Kansas or Nebraska. I've not seen one yet. And yet we're going to say this hurts downstream users. I would like that data, please. Please show me that data. So in a time where the water is rushing down anyway in a hard rainstorm, people are going to capture water in these barrels. They hold it, retime it basically, and they're probably going to put it on in a dry season when they need to water their flower plants or their zucchini or whatever it is, that very small amount. And if that small amount adds up, like the opponents say, then that water not only goes into the ground at the time farmers downstream may need it. It's possible, I can't guarantee that. But also you're going to reduce the call on the river because your cities will not use that amount and send it downstream because they're using a very small amount to water their gardens. So it may reduce the call on the river just by a little bit. That is a benefit to farmers, as best as I can tell. So when I'm weighing this, when you do a Franklin problem solve where you put the benefits on the one side and you put the negatives on the other, the best the opponents can come up with for me, because I'm looking for ways, why should I vote against this bill? The only thing that they can say, and it's not the Constitution, folks, based on how we actually use our water, the only thing they can say is, we don't want to set a precedent. I can agree with that somewhat. Okay? But it doesn't outweigh these other things. And right now we're making Coloradans criminals. That's what we're doing right now. We're making Coloradans criminals. Because I look at construction sites and I look at other areas that probably shouldn't be holding water in whatever container it is that they've left outside, and they're a criminal right now. People, when you ask them about this bill, they do not understand. Your constituents do not understand why we would vote against the rain barrel bill, because this is where common sense is meeting the intersection of politics and science. When Representative Quorum says, let's do the math, yes, let's do the math. Because right now, we do not account for Mother Nature. We do not account for Mother Nature right now in OG plans. We do not account for Mother Nature right now in groundwater management or surface management. We do not. Our prior appropriation system right now, I would say, is quite hijacked, if you look at Gilchrist and LaSalle. Our system right now is hijacked by politics and not by science. So this is where common sense may be poking a hole through here, folks, and maybe we should grab onto this. We don't account for the floodwaters of 2013 and an overfilled aquifer that's leaving these farmlands soggy. And we've had objectors actually say to my farmers in Weld County, we don't care if it's a foot high, deep standing in your fields. We don't care. I heard an objector the other day in committee on this bill say, shockingly, we measure every molecule of water that comes down the South Platte. If that's the case, make sure your children, if they scuff their knee, cry into the river. Because gosh darn it, you measure every single molecule in the South Platte. And if that's so, again, you've got a huge liability issue facing you in Gilchrist and LaSalle. If you know where that water's going and if it's yours, guess what? Your private property right is damaging other people's private property rights. We got folks who have to move out of their homes because of black mold. We have folks spending $80,000 trying to fix their basements. Morningstar Farms, $200,000 plus to mitigate that problem for somebody who wants to claim that that's their
Representative
water.
Sane, is this to the bill, please?
Thank you, ma'am. So, in essence, my point is, we're not measuring this system with science right now that accounts for precipitation. The one piece of science we do have is a study in Douglas County saying, right now, that water isn't making it to the river anyway. Most of it is evaporated because that's the area we live in. So I would urge folks to consider twice on this bill.
Water expert that some people profess to be. But I do rely on water. One of the things that we talked about, not related to this bill, but Representative Sane continued to talk about, was water in Gilchrist. You have the right to dewater. You don't have the right to put it to beneficial use. That is the question there. They want to dewater, put it to beneficial use. She also said that she hasn't seen where anybody has been harmed. For a water right in Colorado, you have to prove that you are not going to harm someone. This totally reverses our prior appropriations doctrine. If you want to do something, you take it to water court, you prove that you are not damaged them, and then if you can put that water to beneficial use, you may use the water. But you can't just pick and choose. It's not a buffet. You don't get to pick and choose what you like. You get to take and pick and choose what is available. And what is available is a right to use that water. And this is not available under prior appropriations doctrine.
Thank you, Representative Corum. Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1259? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1259 as amended. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. House Bill 1259 is adopted. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of Senate Bill 171.
Senate Bill 171 by Senator Hill, also Representative Moreno, concerning the continuation of the Private Occupational Education Act of 1981 in connection with implementing the recommendations of the 2014 Sunset Review by the Department of Regulatory Agencies.
Representative Moreno.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 171. There is no committee report.
To the bill, Representative Moreno.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, what this bill does is extends the Private Occupational Education Act of 1981 and does a couple more things. Allows the Division of Private Occupational School Boards to issue cease and desist orders in addition to the other powers that they have, and make some small other technical changes. I ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Representative Moreno. Is there any discussion on Senate Bill 171? Representative Brown.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just a question, Representative Moreno. This is actually a reduction in government, which I applaud. And we are not regulating barbering and cosmetology through this bill. I was wondering why we couldn't cut out maybe an FTE or two on this. Do you have any comments on that?
Representative Moreno.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and Representative Brown. Thank you for the question. I would have to consult with the fiscal note analyst on any reductions in staff as a result of some of the repeal of these licensing requirements.
Thank you, Representative Moreno. Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 171? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 171. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Senate Bill 171 passes. Mr. Kohler, please read the title to House Bill 1255.
House Bill 1255 by Representatives Dorr and Pabon concerning the enforcement of the prohibited use of electronic benefits transfer cards at certain locations.
Representative Dorr, I don't see Representative
Don't either.
Pabon.
Do we want to wait a minute? Okay.
Go? Okay, Representative Dorr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would move the House or the Business Affairs and Labor Committee report to.
And the bill.
And the bill.
Thank you, Representative Dorr. To the Business Affairs and Labor report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, this amendment really got to the heart of the matter around the issue, and so we don't want to see anybody in the business side have to go through unnecessary hoops or feel like they're being punished because they are an institution, an operation that is on the prohibited list. So the amendment would allow promulgation of rules by the Department of Revenue, as well as the businesses, and the opportunity to show that the ATM machines are compliant with the rules and not having to go through any unnecessary hoops and signage if they meet showing the letter from their ATM operator that their machines are coded to reject the EBT cards.
Mr. Speaker Pro Tem, no? Is there any further discussion on the Business Affairs and Labor report? Seeing none, the Business Affairs and Labor report is adopted. To the bill, Representative Dorr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, House Bill 1255 is, in my opinion, a bill a long time coming. We have had issues in the past years demonstrating the problem around the use of EBT cards at ATMs in prohibited locations. And those locations would include adult entertainment operations, casinos, liquor stores, and we are adding marijuana operations to those as well. And the gist of it is pretty simple. The individuals who are receiving these cards are receiving these cards because for some reason or another they're in a position of life where they need some assistance. And most often than not, that assistance is coming to children. It's buying food, it's getting formula, it's getting the diaper, it's paying for rent so that they can have roofs over their heads. And end of the day, the vast majority of people receiving these benefits use them in the appropriate way. Around 1% decide that they can abuse it. And when they abuse it, it's abusing our taxpayer money and those out there who we serve. And so we wanted to put a law in place which would allow the Department of Revenue, who serves the businesses that have ATMs in these facilities, as well as the Department of Human Services, who serves the beneficiaries of these cards, to have a way to make sure and curtail the abuse. And that's what 1255 does. So it would ask the businesses and would require that the businesses that are locations like liquor stores to make sure their ATM machines are triggered in a way that the cards cannot be accepted and money cannot be withdrawn. So that marijuana shops cannot have the money withdrawn there and go on to buy something that is not under what these programs are for. And it would also have an enforcement ability on the Department of Human Services so that somebody who does the wrongdoing can be taken care of from the benefit of whatever they need to do to stop this wrongdoing. Both departments will have to come back to respective committees twice a year initially to report on what's going on, and then we will reduce that as we find that we're curtailing this abuse. And with that, members, I would ask for support of HB 1255.
Mr. Speaker Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And members, this is a bill that you have seen for the last several years. And in fact, in 2011, it was the first time that this bill was introduced, and it was called the Responsible Family and Taxpayer Stewardship Act of 2011. You may remember it then if you were here. I was here, the majority leader was here, many of us were here. And the problem has only gotten worse since then. We heard in committee that $500,000 have been withdrawn of welfare benefits in places like strip clubs, liquor stores, retail, and medical marijuana shops. Members, these benefits should be used for food and diapers, not for these other purposes. And so, even though this bill passed the House in 2011, it did not have a successful passage in the Senate. Then, and I won't take any credit for this, but it was actually Congress passed this bill in 2012, specifically putting these prohibitions in place and requiring the states to comply with those prohibitions. And if a state did not comply with those prohibitions, then we would lose millions of dollars in SNAP and other welfare benefits. So this is a bill that has come full circle, has journeyed for 4 years. It's a test of perseverance and tenacity. And glad to have my friend and colleague, Representative Dorr, on this bill, because this isn't a partisan issue. This isn't a regional issue. This is a Colorado issue. And we would call this, even though it's not in the bill, I think, the Colorado Taxpayer Stewardship Act of 2015. Ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1255? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1255. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. House Bill 1255 is adopted.
Mr. Kohler, please read the title of Senate Bill 105.
Senate Bill 105 by Senator Martinez Umenek, also representative Primavera, concerning the continuation of the regulation of respiratory therapists by the Director of Division of Professions and Occupations of the Department of Regulatory Agencies in connection with implementing the recommendations of the Department in the Sunset Review of and Report on the Profession.
Representative Primavera.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 105. There is no committee report.
To the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This bill continues the regulation of respiratory therapists. This is a program in the Department of Regulatory Agencies that was set to repeal on July of 2015. Respiratory therapists care for patients who have trouble breathing. They literally hold people's lives in their hands. They're regulated for consumer protection purposes by the Office of Respiratory Therapy and the Division of Professions and Occupations in the Department of Regulatory Agencies. DORA is responsible for licensing these professionals, investigating complaints, enforcing disciplinary action, and they have recommended that we extend the program until September 2024 and made some changes to the program. So I ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion on Senate Bill 105? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 105. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Senate Bill 105 passes.
Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1218.
House Bill 1218 by Representative Fields, also Senator Johnston, concerning the right of parties in a Class 1 felony case to refuse contact with defense-initiated victim outreach specialists.
Representative Fields.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1218 and the committee report.
To the Judiciary report, Representative Fields.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, basically this committee report makes it clear that the Defense Initiative victim outreach must identify who they are. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on the Judiciary report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Judiciary report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The Judiciary report is adopted. To the bill, Representative Fields.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, basically this bill requires that any Defense Initiative outreach has to identify themselves to a victim. I urge for an aye vote on House Bill 1218.
Thank you, Representative Fields. Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1218? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1218. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. House Bill 1218 is adopted. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of Senate Bill 5.
Senate Bill 5 by Senator Cook, also Representative Foote, concerning medical testing in certain first-degree assault cases.
Representative Foote.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 5. There is no committee report.
Thank you, Representative Foote. To the bill, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 5 is a bill that's good for victims. Currently, not all victims of first-degree assault can receive a blood test from the defendant if the assault involved bodily fluids. We want victims to know whether or not they have to get treatment for what happened to them, so I ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Representative Foote. Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 5? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 5. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Senate Bill 5 is rousingly adopted. Mr. Kohler, please read the title to Senate Bill 99.
Senate Bill 99 by Senator Cook, also Representative Lawrence, concerning eliminating certain duties for probation officers.
Representative Lawrence.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There is no committee report on this bill, so I move Senate Bill 99.
Thank you, Representative Lawrence. To Senate Bill 99.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill just removes some language from statute that the probation department does not actually handle, so this is just a departmental cleanup, and I would ask for an aye vote on this bill.
Thank you, Representative Lawrence. Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 99? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 99. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Senate Bill 99 passes, and that was a little better, members. Mr. Kohler, please read the title to Senate Bill 126.
Senate Bill 126 by Senators Cook and Johnston, also Representative Foote, concerning medical tests for victims of crimes of assault.
Representative Foote.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 126, and there is no committee report.
To the bill, Representative Foote.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 126 will help victims of second and third degree assault to get blood tests of the defendants if that assault involved bodily fluids, so the victims can know whether or not they have a health issue they need to worry about in addition to everything else for that. So I ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Representative Foote. Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 126? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 126. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Wow. Opposed, no. Senate Bill 126 passes. Mr. Kohler, please read the title to House Bill 12, Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over House Bill 1220 until Monday, March 23rd.
Thank you. At the request of the Majority Leader, House Bill 1220 will be laid over. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
You've heard the motion. The committee will rise and report.
The House will come back to order. Mr. Kohler, please read the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Madam Speaker, Committee of the Whole begs leave to report that in consideration of the following task bills being second reading thereof and makes the following recommendations thereon. House Bills 1147 a minute, 1215 a minute, 1218 a minute, 1239, 1255 a minute, 1259 a minute. Passed on second reading in order. Gross place on counter for third and final passage. Senate Bills 599, 105, 126, 171. Passed on second reading in order. Revised place on counter for third and final passage. House Bills 1097 and 1220 laid over until March 23, 2015, retaining their place on the calendar.
Representative Primavera. You've heard the motion, and there are no amendments. The question before the House is the adoption of the report of the Committee of the Whole. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Singer and Representative Tate. Representative Singer. Okay. Representative Singer excused. Please close the machine. With 64 ayes, no noes, and 1 excused, the report of the Committee of the Whole report is adopted. Announcements and introductions. Representative Primavera.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Unfortunately, on a Friday when it's the beginning of spring, Public Health Care and Human Services will meet 10 minutes upon adjournment to hear Senate Bill 87, House Bill 1248, and House Bill 1242.
The Speaker has an announcement. I'd like to welcome the 8th grade class from Shining Mountain Waldorf School in Boulder County, Colorado, to the floor. Thank you all for being here. Further announcements and introductions. Representative Priola.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I need to request permission to be absent Monday morning. I have an orthopedic appointment. I've spoken with the Minority Leader and Assistant Majority Leader.
Representative Priola is excused as requested. Other announcements and introductions. Representative Pedersen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We have an exciting announcement. Everyone should have received an email. We have a day of skiing and scavenger hunting at New Belgium, or for the New Belgium Mountain Adventure next Saturday, March 28th at Loveland Ski Area. How many people are interested in joining our team and going up against the Senate? All right. Well, come and see me. Let me know if you're interested in being on our scavenger hunt, and Representative Kaiser is also going to be a part of this, our bipartisan House team.
Representative Kaiser.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, if you enjoy skiing and you enjoy adventure, this is for you. So come talk to Representative Pedersen or myself. Thanks.
Further announcements and introductions. Representative Brown.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And let's remember that Monday, this coming Monday, and maybe somebody's already said it, but it's Aerospace Day here at the Capitol. So there'll be a bunch of folks here. We've got a team coming from Durango that won the aerospace competition someplace. So be here.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to lay over the balance of the calendar until Monday, March 23rd.
The motion is to lay over the balance of the calendar until Monday, March 23rd. Is there any objection? Seeing none, the Majority Leader's request will be laid over. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the House stand in recess until later today at 1 p.m.
The motion is to stand in recess until later today at 1 p.m. See no objection, so ordered. Have a great weekend, everybody.